This is the test lead. Basically has 4 of the wires all wired together on the end. And what we do, disconnect the plug from the camera and then plug that in. So it basically shorts out all the other end of the lead. And then we test these 4 plugs in here with the multimeter. So you can see there that I've plugged it in and the ends are all connected. So now we can just test the end of the plug. Just set the meter to continuity and bell test. So once we do that, we just test the plug on the end. Going to be a little bit hard to film this, but basically I'm just going to touch all the pins and see what happens. So I have the meter buzzing when there's continuity, and now I just test the pins. That's okay, that's okay, that's not. So this one here, we know there's a break in it. Next step's just to find the break. Usually there'll be a little crack in the cable. So I've just cut this cable and kept cutting it down and keep checking the 4, it's very hard to see in the camera, the 4 wires in there. I've now got to a point where they all have continuity. So I know that I've cut out the broken bit. So I will go ahead and install the new connection. Now I've got to find the trace wire. One of the wires is a different color, usually red, and find out which pin it goes onto, so that when we connect it up to the other camera, it'll be the same connection. So I normally just get a Stanley knife and run it around like this, just cut it slightly, then get the MAPP gas or some sort of flame, heat it up like that. Grab my pliers and then just twist it and then pull it off like that. And then, might be hard to see, but here's the red wire here. So once again with the Stanley knife, just bare that wire like that. Then I'll just get my multimeter, test from that and find out which pin it's connected, so that we can connect it up the same on the other termination kit. So I've worked out where the red wire goes. It goes to the video pin. This is the termination kit. Strip this out and give you a little look. So what we have here is the bottom bit goes on. And get it off one end. This bottom piece goes on to the end of the camera first. It's under the cable. So like that. It goes on that way. Then we have the rubber that goes on in this direction. Then we have the back bit. It's got 2 little 2mm Allen keys, grub screws. Just have to loosen those a bit before I slide that on. So I've just slid that on in this direction and nipped up the screw a little bit just to sort of stop it sliding down. Now what I'm going to do is the same thing up here with the Stanley knife. Just cut back about, I don't know, 50mm with the Stanley knife, pull the red plastic off, and then we'll go from there. So I'll just do that off camera. So now you can see the red wire, if the camera will focus. On the camera end, that'll go to the video point. So next part of the job is to separate these wires out of the fiberglass. So what I do there is just crush it with the pliers and then pull the copper out and then cut the fiberglass with side cutters. I normally just squash it, on the fours, like 2 sides off each angle. And then once I do that, then I can pull out the wire just with the pliers like this. And then once I've done that with all 4 of them, then I'll just put a flame on it, just burn off the excess glue from the fiberglass. So it might be hard to see on the camera, but there's little furry bits still on the cable, on the wires. So you just burn that off. Then what I normally do is get my side cutters and just nibble at this fiberglass bit and then just slowly cut it through without cutting the other wires, of course. He says that as he cuts the other wire off. Alright, I'll be back soon. Okay, so this is the back of the circuit board. It's got ground, LED, video, something else on it. Can't quite see it. So what we now need to do is put the wires through those holes, and I've pre-cut the 4 wires at slightly different lengths just to make it easier to put through the holes. So once the wires are through the holes, then pull this section down flat so it's nice and close to the bottom when it focuses. Then I get the wires and just pull them to the sides away from the middle. Just like that. Then I get the side cutters and just cut them back just past the little round solder point, if you can ever get it focused. Next thing we do is get the Stanley knife and just scrape the back of these wires to get the clear coat off them to bear the copper, and then we'll just solder them up. So I've accidentally soldered one of the pins, so we'll just de-solder it with some solder wick. Okay, so now what we do is push this up, making sure that the circuit board with the pins in it is flat, and then do up the Allen keys, just nip them up. So we've nipped those up. Now we slide up the bottom cone and the rubber grommet that slides in like this. Rubber cone. Then we get the top section, thread down, that slides over. It's hard doing it all one-handed. Slides down over like that, and then we do this up. I just also give the pins in here a little bit of a push, make sure they're all loose because they're on a spring. Then we stick the camera head back on. That's a 19mm spanner fit across the bottom of the camera head. And then we put the special tool on the bottom and do it up until we have no gap. This is the tool for holding the bottom. It's got like 2 locating pins in the bottom of it. They fit into these locating tabs. Now that we've got this all done up with the camera head on it, made sure that we've plugged all the leads in down the bottom here. We push the button and fingers crossed, we get the picture. Job done.